Ladies, let me be real with you. When a man opens up his phone, his DMs, his texts, even his social media notifications, he's flooded with the same kind of message over and over again. Hi. Hey. How are you? That's the starter line for just about everybody. And here's the thing about men. We're not complicated when it comes to knowing who stands out and who doesn't. If you blend in with the crowd, if you sound like everybody else, then you've already lost your spot before you even had a chance to play the game. A man doesn't stop scrolling or pause his day because of, hi, how are you? It's polite, it's simple, but it's forgettable. And forgettable don't win no man. Now I know somebody's thinking, but Steve, I'm just being nice. I'm just being myself. I don't want to come off too strong. And I hear you, I really do. But let me break it down so you understand how men look at it. When a man sees the same message from 5 different women, they all blur together. It's like background noise. You don't notice it because it's common. If you were walking down the street and everybody you passed said the same thing, hi, how are you? After the 50th person, you wouldn't even register it anymore. You'd just nod your head and keep moving. That's exactly how men react to it. It's not that we don't appreciate the gesture. It's that it doesn't move us. And if it doesn't move us, it can't make us chase you. See, men are wired to chase. Don't get that twisted. From the beginning of time, a man wants to feel like he's going after something special. When you approach him in the same exact way everybody else does, there's no fire lit in him. And if you want to catch his attention, you've got to be the spark. That spark is what separates you from the rest. That spark makes him think, wait a minute, who is this? That's the moment you're aiming for. But you're never going to get there if you start off with what everybody else is saying. Think about this. A man's mama is texting him, how are you? His co-worker, how are you? The friend he barely remembers from high school, how are you? You really want to be lumped into that same category? No, because the second you do, you don't stand out as a woman who knows her worth. You stand out as someone who's just trying to get noticed. And let me tell you, men can tell the difference. A woman who knows her value doesn't beg for attention. She commands it without even asking. And you don't command attention by saying what everybody else says. You want to know why hi, how are you is so dangerous? Because it's lazy. It's the safe route. It says to a man, I don't want to put in effort. I don't want to show you who I really am just yet. So let me play it safe. But guess what? Safe don't get you remembered. Safe don't make a man want to know more. Safe is fine if you're making small talk at the grocery store, but it's not fine if you're trying to get a man to see you as someone he wants in his life. That first impression is everything, and you don't want his first thought of you to be, oh, another one. Now, I'm not telling you to be fake. Don't twist my words. I'm telling you to show up differently. Show up with something that makes a man pause, because when he pauses, he's curious, and curiosity is a man's weak spot. The moment he wonders about you, you've already won half the battle. But if you start the conversation on autopilot, you're not giving him anything to wonder about. Men love mystery. Men love excitement. Men love a woman who's got something a little unpredictable about her. And hi, how are you is the opposite of unpredictable. Picture this, a man's been working all day. Maybe he's tired. Maybe he's stressed. He opens up his phone and there are 10 different notifications. Out of those 10, 8 of them say, or, how are you? And he barely even notices. But then there's one that makes him laugh, makes him grin, makes him tilt his head and say, hold up, let me see what she's talking about. That one. That's the one he replies to first. That's the one he's thinking about while he's driving to work the next morning. That's the one that gets under his skin in the best way. You don't want to be in the crowd. You want to be the one that makes him put the phone down and smile. And you don't get that reaction by being ordinary. Let me give you a secret about men. We remember how you made us feel in the first seconds. If the first 10 seconds feel bland, you're forgettable. But if those first 10 seconds feel exciting, fresh, different, you live rent-free in our minds. That's how it works. So when you hit him with, hi, how are you? You've already wasted those 10 seconds. You gave him nothing to hold on to. But if you start with something bold, funny, or intriguing, now you've got him. He's thinking about you later, and he can't wait to see what else you'll say. Men are simple, but we're not stupid. We know the difference between effort and autopilot. And nothing screams autopilot like, hi, how are you? It tells us you're not trying. And if you're not trying, why should we? Because a man invests where he sees value. If you come across as basic, he won't invest. But if you come across as someone who knows her worth, who puts in effort, who shows him she's not like the rest, now he's intrigued. And once you've got his intrigue, you've got his attention. And once you've got his attention, baby, you've got options. So when I say don't send, hi, how are you? I'm not just nitpicking. I'm telling you that the little things matter. That first message is your first impression. Don't waste it. Don't give him what everybody else is giving him. Be different, be bold, be unforgettable. Because if you want to be the one, you can't start off as just another one. Let me break something down to you real clear, because once you understand this, it'll change the way you approach every man you're interested in. Curiosity is the most powerful tool you've got in your bag. It's not beauty. It's not how fly your outfit is. It's not even what kind of shape you're in. Don't get me wrong, men love all that, but curiosity is what keeps him coming back. It's what makes him lean in closer. It's what makes him ask questions. It's what makes him chase. When you give him something that stirs his curiosity, baby, you've already got his attention locked. And if you've got his attention, now you've got the power to guide where this thing goes. Here's the thing about men, we're hunters by nature. We like to chase. We like to figure things out. We like to feel like we're solving a mystery. That's why sports, business, cars, games, all of it is about the challenge. You hand a man something too easy, he gets bored. You give him something he's got to work for, something he's got to figure out, and now he's engaged. Same thing goes for women. If you hit him with something plain like, hi, how are you? You've already killed the chase. But if you give him something that makes him say, hold up, I need to know more about this woman, you've got him. That's curiosity. Think about the last time you watched a movie that had a plot twist. You were on the edge of your seat because you wanted to see what was coming next. That's how a man should feel when he's talking to you. He should feel like he can't quite figure you out, like there's more to you than what he sees on the surface. When your first words carry a little spark of mystery, a little bit of playfulness, you're giving him a reason to stick around and see what else you've got to offer. Curiosity makes a man invest his time and energy, and once he's investing, he's already halfway in. Let me give you an example. A man opens his phone and there's a message that says, hi, how are you? He skims past it. But then there's another message from somebody else that says, don't laugh, but I just tried to cook spaghetti and it looked like a crime scene. Now, which one do you think he's responding to first? You already know, because that second one makes him curious. Who is this woman that's bold enough to clown herself a little bit, to be funny right out the gate? He's intrigued. He wants to know more. That curiosity you just sparked, that's the hook. He's going to bite. See, curiosity is about creating that space where a man doesn't feel like he's got you all figured out yet. Men lose interest fast when things are predictable. If he feels like he knows exactly what you're going to say before you say it, or how you're going to act before you act, he checks out. But if you give him something that keeps him guessing, something that makes him tilt his head and think, what's she about? He stays engaged. That's why your first words are so important. They set the tone for everything that comes after. If you start with something basic, he files you in the basic folder. If you start with something intriguing, he files you in the special folder. And trust me, he keeps coming back to that one. Ladies, let me let you in on another secret. Men love to laugh, but we especially love when a woman can make us laugh. That's not just about humor, it's about curiosity too. Because when a man laughs, he wonders, what else is she going to say? How else is she going to surprise me? That laughter opens him up. It makes him want to stay connected. And the more curious he is about what you'll say or do next, the deeper he falls into the game you're playing without even realizing it. That's why curiosity is power. Now, some of you might be saying, but Steve, I'm not funny. I don't know how to come up with witty lines. That's fine. It's not always about jokes. Curiosity can come from confidence, from boldness, from a little bit of mystery. Imagine instead of, hi, how are you? You said, you know what? You look like trouble, and I don't even like trouble, but maybe I'll make an exception. You see what that does? It's playful, it's bold, and it makes him think. Wait a minute, does she see something in me? Why'd she say that? You've just created curiosity without even trying to be a comedian. It's about giving him a taste, but not the whole meal. You give him just enough to want more. Curiosity works because it flips the script. Most men are used to being the ones who chase, the ones who start the conversation, the ones who set the tone. When a woman comes in and flips that around with a little intrigue, it throws him off in the best way. He's not used to that energy, so it makes him sit up. You want him sitting up, not laying back scrolling through. You want him thinking about you when he's supposed to be working. That's curiosity at work. Now let me tell you why curiosity is so addictive to men. It's because it taps into something deeper than attraction. Attraction is about what we see. Curiosity is about what we feel. A man can see 100 beautiful women in a day, but the one he keeps thinking about is the one who sparked his curiosity. Beauty might catch his eye, but curiosity catches his mind. And when you've got his mind, you've got him. That's why I always tell women, don't give a man everything right away. Don't show all your cards up front. Let him discover things about you. Drop little hints, say something that doesn't fully explain itself, leave him hanging a little. That's how you stay on his mind. That's how you make him call you back, text you back, think about you when you're not around. Curiosity is like a string tied around his thoughts, pulling him back to you over and over again. And don't get it twisted. Curiosity doesn't mean playing games or lying. It means being intentional. It means knowing how to reveal yourself piece by piece. Men don't want the whole puzzle on the first date. We want to put it together ourselves. It makes us feel invested. It makes us feel like we're earning something. So give him enough to stay curious, but not so much that he feels like he's already seen it all. That's how you keep him engaged. So when you're thinking about what to say to a man, remember this, you're not just sending words, you're sending a message about who you are. If your words create curiosity, you've already got an edge. Because curiosity is what keeps him chasing, keeps him interested, keeps him wondering. And as long as he's wondering, he's not letting go. I'm going to be real with you. There is nothing in this world more attractive to a man than a woman who walks in her confidence. You can be tall, short, thick, slim, young, older. Doesn't matter. Confidence is what makes the difference. Confidence is what makes a woman unforgettable. Because men can feel it before you even open your mouth. It's in the way you carry yourself, the way you smile, the way you look at us like you already know your worth. That's what makes a man stop in his tracks. And when you combine confidence with the words you choose, especially in the beginning, that's when you separate yourself from every other woman out there. Now, let's talk about how most women start conversations. Like I said before, it's the same old, "Hi, how are you?" Or maybe just a wave emoji. And that's fine if you're talking to a friend, but if you're trying to make an impression, if you're trying to stand out, baby, that's not it. Men don't remember safe. Men don't chase boring. Men don't lock in on ordinary. We're wired to respond to boldness. We're wired to notice when somebody comes with something different. That's what confidence looks like in action. When you open a conversation with something witty or playful, you're not just being clever, you're sending a message. I'm not afraid to be myself. I'm not afraid to take the lead. And let me tell you, men respect that. A confident woman don't beg for attention. She creates it. She don't sit back waiting to be noticed. She walks into the room like she already belongs there. And when her first words reflect that, she's unstoppable. I've seen this play out time and time again. A woman who says something unexpected instantly shifts the energy. She doesn't even have to try too hard. Imagine a man gets a message that says, "I hope you're more interesting than your profile picture. Otherwise, this conversation is going to be short." Now, some of y'all gasped at that, but guess what? That's confidence. That's playful boldness. And instead of brushing past it, that man is going to laugh and respond because now he's curious. Now he's engaged. Now he feels like he's got somebody in front of him who's not scared to speak her mind. That confidence is magnetic. Here's the thing. Men test women all the time without even realizing it. We test to see if you'll shrink back, if you'll get nervous, if you'll wait for us to lead every step of the way. But when a woman shows up confident, we can't help but respect it. Because confidence tells us you know your worth. And when a woman knows her worth, a man automatically thinks she must be valuable if she values herself that much. Confidence makes him step his game up. You ever notice how the loudest person in the room isn't always the one everybody's looking at? Sometimes it's the one who sits there calm, smiling, not pressed to prove anything. That's confidence too. Confidence is knowing you don't have to try hard to get attention. You just naturally draw it in. So when you open your mouth or when you send that first message, you don't play small. You let your personality come through. Bold, witty, playful. That's how you signal to a man that you're not like everybody else. And let me tell you something else. Confidence ain't about being perfect. Some of the most confident women I've ever met were the ones who knew their flaws, embraced them, and still walked like they were the baddest thing in the room. Men eat that up. Because if you love yourself, flaws and all, we can't help but love you too. Confidence makes you glow. And when you open a conversation with confidence, that glow jumps right through the words and hits him on the other side. I'll never forget this story a buddy of mine told me. He was scrolling through messages, and he had 3 different women hit him up. 2 of them said the usual, "Hey, what's up?" He didn't even bother replying. But the third one, she said, "I bet you $5 you can't guess my favorite food. If you're right, I'll cash app you. If you're wrong, you owe me dinner." Now, tell me that ain't confidence. She turned the conversation into a game, she made it playful, and she put herself in a position of power. That man couldn't stop smiling. He told me, "Steve, I didn't even care about her favorite food. I just wanted to keep talking to her." That's what confidence does. It turns a simple conversation into something unforgettable. Confidence is also contagious. When a man meets a woman who's bold enough to be herself, it makes him want to rise to the occasion. He starts bringing his best energy, his best jokes, his best effort, because he doesn't want to lose her attention. And that's exactly where you want him, chasing, investing, proving himself. But that all starts with the way you carry yourself and the way you speak. If your first words are timid and unsure, that's the energy you set. If your first words are confident and playful, you've set a completely different stage. Some of y'all worry that being too bold might scare a man off, and you're right, it might. But let me tell you something. The ones who get scared off by confidence, they weren't meant for you anyway. A real man, a man who knows what he wants, is attracted to a woman who stands tall in who she is. That's the kind of man who's going to respect you, protect you, and match your energy. So don't water yourself down to keep the wrong man comfortable. Show up bold so the right man can find you. And let me break this down plain and simple. Confidence is not arrogance. Confidence is not about being rude, cocky, or over the top. Confidence is about knowing your worth and not being afraid to let it show. Arrogance pushes people away, but confidence pulls them in. A man knows the difference. And trust me, when you lead with confidence, you won't have to chase him. He'll be the one chasing you. Men are visual, yes. We notice beauty. But what makes us stay? What makes us commit? What makes us say? That's the one, is how you make us feel. And nothing makes a man feel more intrigued, more alive, than being around a woman who's confident in herself. It's intoxicating. It's unforgettable. And it all starts with how you present yourself from the very beginning. A bold greeting, a witty remark, a playful challenge. That's the kind of energy that makes a man want to keep coming back. So the next time you're about to send a message, the next time you're about to walk up to a man, ask yourself, am I being safe or am I being confident? Safe is easy, but easy don't get remembered. Confidence gets remembered. Confidence gets respected. Confidence gets chased. And if you want a man to look at you and think, that's somebody I can't let slip away, then you've got to show him from the very first words that you're not afraid to stand out. Let me tell you something right now. First impressions matter more than you realize. A man can make up his mind about you in the first few seconds, not because he's shallow, but because men are wired to process quick. We don't sit around analyzing every little thing the way women do. We go off instinct, off energy, off that first feeling we get when you come around. That's why your opening words, your first line, your first message, they carry so much weight. You might think, oh, it's just a hello, I can fix it later. But no, baby, sometimes there is no later. Sometimes that first impression is the only chance you get, and if you blow it, you don't get a do-over. When a man meets you, he's paying attention to everything, not just how you look, but how you sound, how you carry yourself, how you speak to him. If your first words come across as bland, forgettable, or careless, that's how he'll remember you. But if your first words grab his attention, if they spark his interest, if they make him smile or lean in closer, you've already set the tone for something deeper. Because here's the truth, men chase what excites them. Men invest in what makes them feel something. And if your first impression doesn't make him feel anything, he's not going to put in the effort. Think about it like this. If you walk into a restaurant and the food smells good, the place looks clean, and the host greets you warmly, you're already in a good mood before you even taste the food. But if you walk in and the place looks messy, the staff seems tired, and nobody greets you right, you're already thinking about leaving before you even sit down. That's how first impressions work with men. Your first line is the greeting, the energy, the smell of the food. If you said it right, he'll stay. If you don't, he's gone. Now, I'm not saying you got to put on a show. I'm saying you have to be intentional. A lot of women waste their first impression with the same tired line. Hi, how are you? And like I told you before, that doesn't move a man. It doesn't create a memory. It doesn't give him a reason to think about you later. It's just noise. But if you come in with something bold, something different, something that shows your personality, now you've left a mark. Now, even if he don't text you back right away, you're in his head. And being in his head is how you win. Let me give you an example. Say a man gets 2 messages. One says, "Hey, how are you?" The other says, "I hope you know how to cook because I'm not about to starve messing with you." Which one do you think he's going to remember? Which one sets the tone for a playful, flirty conversation? That second one, because it paints a picture, it's got personality, it makes him laugh, and it makes him want to reply. That's what I mean when I say first impressions matter. You're not just starting a conversation, you're planting a seed. You're showing him who you are right out the gate. Men are not mind readers. We don't know how amazing you are until you show us. You could be the funniest, smartest, most loyal woman in the world, but if your first impression don't show even a glimpse of that, we'll never stick around long enough to find out. That's why you can't play small. You can't hide behind safe lines and expect a man to chase you. You gotta step into that moment with intention. You gotta say to yourself, "This is my chance to let him see I'm different," and then deliver it. I've seen women ruin their chances with great men because they thought first impressions didn't matter. They thought they could come off lazy at first and then show their real selves later. But here's the truth. Men don't wait for later. Men decide quickly. If your first impression is weak, we file you under, not worth the chase, and move on. But when a woman comes in strong, with confidence, with wit, with something that makes us think, we don't forget her, we keep coming back to her. We want to know more. That's the power of setting the tone from the start. And let me tell you, men respect a woman who knows how to make an impression because it shows effort. It shows you value yourself enough to stand out. And men notice effort. A lot of women think men don't care, but trust me, we see it. If you take the time to make your first words count, it tells us you're intentional. And when we see intention, we treat you with more seriousness. We know you're not out here wasting time. That makes us step our game up. It's like when you walk into a job interview. You don't show up in pajamas mumbling, "Hey, how are you?" No, you show up dressed sharp, smiling, ready to impress. Because you know that first impression could decide whether you get the job or not. Same thing in relationships. Your first impression could be the difference between him thinking of you as just another woman or him thinking, "Man, I can't stop thinking about her." Why would you waste that chance by being ordinary? First impressions also stick because men replay them in their heads. A man will tell his boys about you based on how you first came across. If you came in boring, he ain't mentioning you. But if you came in bold, playful, funny, or confident, he's going to bring you up in conversation. He's going to say, "Yo, this girl hit me with the funniest line the other day." Now you're not just on his mind, you're in his circle's conversation. That's how strong first impressions are. And don't think first impressions are only about looks or words. It's about energy too. Men can feel when a woman walks in with confidence, with presence, with something unique about her. That's why you have to pair your words with your energy. Don't just send something bold. Back it up with the way you carry yourself. When he sees that consistency, he knows you're the real deal. That's when he gets hooked. So When you think about what to say, when you think about how to start, remember this. You're not just making small talk. You're setting the tone for everything that comes after. If you come in lazy, you set a lazy tone. If you come in bold, playful, confident, you set a tone of excitement. And men respond to that. Men chase that. Men invest in that. Because first impressions matter, and once you've made the right one, you've already won half the battle.